Hello everyone, my name is Tinne. I'm head of design of VectoriaDesigns, and I just really made this video out of the blue because I wanted to share with you which tools I think are a really good idea to invest in for paper crafting and which are maybe not so good of an idea. Because I think some tools are really worth investing in and you can use them for thousands of crafts, and some are sometimes very expensive and you will hardly use them. On YouTube, sometimes I stumble upon a tutorial to make a super beautiful gift card, and then I watch it and then I need to buy this die and that die and that die and this stencil and these colors of inks, and yeah, are you going to use that again? I myself am a very frugal person and I have bought some craft supplies that I still haven't used, and I feel really bad about that. Quick tip, I just had a lovely chat this morning, a video chat with Katja from Lunar Sun Creations on YouTube, and she had the tip to put the craft supplies and tools that I don't use just in a basket on my desk, that they're there, because she's right, now they're like in a box and I never see them, I don't think about them, that I will actually use them. I'm gonna so do that. So that made me think, let's make a video with all the paper crafting tools that I actually use over and over again. And you might view the video and think, hey, yeah, but that doesn't really seem like something I would use all the time. Well, then you know that. And I'm just going to show you my experience with all of this. That's it, I just want to help here. It can be quite overwhelming to walk into a craft store, and it's fun too. Believe me, walking into a craft store is fun, but also overwhelming. What to get, what not to get. Am I going to use this again or not? So I hope this video can guide you somehow through this quest and help you. So let's start. Okay, paper crafting. That means that paper needs to be cut. So I'm gonna show you a lot of things that cut paper. Okay, let's start with the most basic things. Scissors. Let me put this aside for a bit. So yeah, let's start with scissors. These are the ones that I keep for really good projects. They're from Fiskars and they just cut really well. And I only use them to cut clean paper. If I'm going to cut paper that has tape on it or glue on it, no, I'm not going to use these. And I'm definitely not going to use these to cut things like fabric. For that, I have fabric scissors. You don't have to invest in this if you're never going to use fabric for your paper crafts. But these are like dirt cheap. They're from IKEA. I think in the time they were €2. I don't know what the price is right now, but it can't be a lot. It's just, if you're using fabric, very handy. Never use your fabric scissors for paper as well. They all have their own purpose, and if you're doing a lot of fussy cutting, this might come in handy as well. So really small scissors. If you have to cut like a very tiny piece of paper or a little corner out of a project, these are very handy as well. But most of the time, I just use these. Now, some projects are cut more quickly with a paper trimmer. Definitely not necessary, it's optional, but super handy. This one's from Fiskars as well. I think it's recycled plastic and it has an extendable arm to measure. And I like it very much if I have to cut like one piece of paper at a time or one piece of cardstock. It's really good. Now, if you have to cut a lot of paper at the same time, or if you would like to cut chipboard, this will not do, or it will make your blade dull quite quickly. So for that, use a cutting mat. This is a small one. I would recommend a larger one, but my larger one is super dirty. So yeah, this is the clean one. Heavy duty craft knife, metal ruler, and you can go a long way. Make sure this is sharp. If it's dull, break off the end piece. Careful with these though, don't cut towards yourself. Cut away from your body and make sure there's no one standing next to you, obviously. And make sure your ruler is metal, very important. Now for lighter cutting jobs, a scalpel like this will do very well. I use this if I have to cut a shape out of the center of a project, and if I would use my scissors, it will ruin it. This will be very handy. I myself invested in something quite heavier because I'm doing so much cutting, and also it's very handy if you would like to cut a lot of cardboard and thicker chipboard is what you call it. Yeah, let me bring it to you. So here it is. I hope you can see it. So this is my heavy duty guillotine trimmer. It's a very safe one with this arm here, so it's virtually impossible to cut yourself with this. I really like that there are measurements in inches and centimeters on here because I like to cater to the whole world. So yeah, and it works like this. Put your paper under. Sorry about the noise. Yeah, it makes noise. And then it sharpens itself when you use it. It's so handy to cut a thick block of paper or some 2mm chipboard, etc. It can do it all. That's all about paper cutting, but we're not ready. Still cutting paper. And another type of paper cutting tool is punches. Now, there are punches in all shapes and sizes, like literally everything. I have this one with a puzzle piece, and I have a very nice border punch, but I don't use these as often. From time to time, yeah, but the ones that I use the most are the basic shapes. And these are all circles. And I didn't buy them at once. I just bought them over time when I needed them. And the one I use the most is the one with the 1 inch. So I have 1 inch, 2 inch, 1.5 inch, and this is 5/8 of an inch. I think this was my very first circle punch. And if you have to cut like a notch out of the side of a pocket, just go turn it around. Yeah, I always remove the things underneath. So if you would need a notch, just cut half a circle. You have a really nice notch in a pocket. And another punch I use often is this corner punch. Now this corner punch has 3 sizes for a very large corner, a very round corner, this one, and a very small corner like this one, and one in between. But you also have corner punches with 1 corner, obviously. If you have 1 size, you're guaranteed to go a long way. I also have this punch that I sometimes use. It has a corner, but I bought it because it has a notch as well. So not this type of notch, but this type of notch. Sometimes I find it very pretty. So yeah, that's why I have this. But these are basic shapes, and I just recommend investing in these first. So these were all tools that do some type of cutting. Now let's see how we can, glue the papers back together. These are actually the glues that I use most of all. This is just tacky glue. It's really strong. You just have to give it some time to dry, and they probably have a quick dry version as well. But yeah, all the time I use this. Mod Podge, obviously, it is a sealer, it's varnish, it's glue, it's all in one. It's super nice to have. And just a regular glue stick. These are the glues that I use most of all. They're very basic. I also sometimes use Fabri-Tac from Beacon, but for me personally, I seem to be very sensitive to the smell. So I only use it if I really have to, and I put my window open, etc., or I do it outside. With these you get so far. Very happy. And another way of gluing is use double-sided tape. I use this all the time because it's quick, it's not messy. And the size I use most of all is 3/8 of an inch, so that's 9mm or something. I use this size all the time. Sometimes I use a smaller one. This is 1/4 of an inch. You have bigger ones as well, but if you have double-sided tape as well, you get very, very far. Now, make sure your tape is strong, because there's tape out there that's not super strong at all. This happens to be a very good but cheap tape. The brand is Crafters College, but it's from a cheap store, so I'm not sure if you can get it anywhere else. And the other brand I really like to use that you can get everywhere is Score Tape. That's definitely going to stick, but it's a little bit more expensive. So, but in the end, this is most of what I need to do my projects. And actually, to be honest, I think with only these you get very far already. Now, buried underneath all these tools is a tool that I use all the time. I remember buying this on a craft fair. It was on my list, but I was still in doubt about, am I going to use this? Isn't this like a silly purchase because I want it but I don't need it? It was I don't know, it was back then about 20 euros. And for me back then, that was a lot of money for something I didn't need. VectoriaDesigns back then was still a small thingy on the side, so I was really in doubt. And I think it was one of the best purchases I ever made. I use this all the time. It's so handy to make scoring lines if you have to fold anything, to make envelopes or pockets or boxes or whatever. There. Perfect scoring line. Actually, I'm folding the wrong way, I'm sorry. So, yeah. Perfect fold. This is the Martha Stewart brand, but I'm very sure that the scoring boards of other big brands are really good as well. I don't have experience, but I'm pretty sure they are. The alternative to a scoring board is just a cutting mat and a ruler and an embossing tool. An embossing tool is just a tool with two balls, metal balls on each side. This has a smaller one and a big one, or just one. This has just two sizes. And then you can score like this. Of course, you have to first measure with a pencil. Oh, I have to score from here to there. Line up. And then you have a crease as well. This works as well, but you have to measure first and make markings first. And that's why I like this a lot better. It saves me some time. But if you're doing a lot of paper crafting and a lot of scoring, this is highly recommended. Oh yeah, and you can also use an embossing tool on the scoring board if you're not happy with the creases of this thingy here. I'm sorry, I have no idea what this thingy is called. English, as you undoubtedly already heard, is not my native language. So some things are referred to as thingies. Sorry. So, love this. And some small tools I use all the time are these. This is a bone folder. It's chipped. It's super dirty. I have a clean one. I never use the clean one. I love this one. It just lays in my hands so well. And if you have a crease, say like this one, you can really burnish it to make it crisp and clean. And I love that. And you're not ruining your nails. Okay, I'm the type of crafter that doesn't have nails, but still don't like to ruin it, because going like this is painful in the end if you have to do that a lot. So this is a fairly cheap tool that's highly recommended if you're doing a lot of folding. This tool, viewers of my videos have seen me use it all the time. This is a spatula, and it's a tool that's normally sold when you have a die cutting machine, so you can take out the small pieces very easily. I don't use it for that. I use it to take the backing off my double-sided tape. It goes so quickly. Just watch any of my videos and you probably see me using it. So I use it for that all the time. It saves my nails that I don't have. But of course, some people use this, some people use their fingers. Definitely don't need it. I just use it all the time, and it has been worth a lot for me. Another tool that I use very much is an awl. You can make holes really fast, really good. And if you're making journals and you need to punch holes in signatures and covers, etc., this is really good. I'm still saving up for a bigger one, but until then, this will do very well for me. If you're not making holes, you don't need this. Another thing I use very much is ink and an ink blender. Now, these are all Tim Holtz, I know, but I'm talking about all types of inks. These are distress inks. This is a distress oxide, but what I wanted to show you is these are the colors that I use all the time. Okay, this one's wrapped still, but so this is a type of brown. This is another type of brown, walnut stain, vintage photo. This is antique linen. This is a lighter, more yellow beigey color. These neutral colors are the ones that I use all the time. I also have, I think, a green one and a reddish one. I actually never use them. I think I used them once. If you're buying one ink, start with a neutral one that you can use for a lot of projects. It could be black. I don't use black a lot, but it could be black. Or just if you're doing a lot of vintage stuff, just use a brown one to start. And then over time, you can invest in more neutral ones. I only use the neutral ones. And a very handy tool to use with the inks is a ink blender. These come with detachable sponges, so you can use a new one with a new color. You don't have to buy a lot of these ink blender handles at all. And it's so handy to color edges and distress edges and add a vintage touch to your project. And it's very handy to cover up mistakes. Brilliant, brilliant to cover up mistakes. So, some tips there. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is this. Now, this is quite an investment. I realize it. This is not cheap. It's the Crocodile Big Bite and it sets eyelets. You might say, such a big tool for only setting eyelets. Yeah, I myself use this a lot. I don't have to put a lot of force in this. It's very precise. And it handles 2 sizes, so it makes holes 3/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, and then you have a bunch of setting tools. Now you have a smarter, cheaper version of this. It's just, I think, called just the Crocodile. This one reaches very far into your project, so if you have to reach very far to set your eyelet, it goes about more than 6 inches. This is very handy. If you don't have to reach very far, you can use a small regular handheld one. I hear it's very good as well. And this can go through chipboard and set it. So for me, this was a really good investment. If you're hardly going to set eyelets, don't think about this. You really don't need this at all. So, everyone, look, I have a lot of stuff. So these are a lot of tools, and there are a lot more out there, but these are for me the basic things that I use every day. You get really far with these. That's it. I hope this video was helpful for you, for sure, in knowing better what you want or not want, or maybe you're like, now, okay, I'm gonna get this, or oh no, I'm definitely not going to get this. I am definitely not going to use this. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you think of someone that might like this video as well, and it might be very useful for them, please link them to this video. And I wish you a super beautiful crafty day. Bye-bye.